Welcome to this session of StartupLeap, which is filmed from Erasmus Center for Entrepreneurship in the Rotterdam Makers District. And I'm here today with Wesley, and we'll be talking about how to craft your story, or a bit more about storytelling. So Wesley, would you please introduce yourself quickly to the audience?
My name is Wesley dos Santos, so I'm 29 years old, born and raised here in Rotterdam. And I also have my own office here at the ACA campus. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I have a boat rental company and own shoe label. And I have a CV platform. What I really like to do is to make new concepts and to how do you say that? To broaden like the perspectives of other people. So like that's my mission. So yeah, that's a short introduction, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, so we already know you from participating in our programs as well.
Yes.
And today's session is, of course, about storytelling. So just to have a little bit of a kickstart, I was wondering, how do you start when it comes to storytelling, or how do you approach storytelling in relation to your brands, your footwear brands, Diversité, or the boat rental company?
Yeah.
Or do you more maybe relate it to yourself? We're very curious to know, how you approach that process.
Yeah. It started with myself. So I really believe that the storytelling first it starts by yourself, and afterwards it will also have like kind of how do you say that? It will involve also the things that you're participating in. So if you have a business, then there's some type of values or something from yourself and also from the story that will go into the organization. So for me, what helps a lot is it took a couple of years of before I really knew of like, all right, this is my story and this is my value where I can add something to the world. But what really helped me was the golden circle of Simon Sinek. So I really used that to dig into to dig into myself and to know like, all right, why am I here at this moment in this world, and what is my my value? So what is my mission here? And from there, so from the why of the golden circle, I went to the how and then to the what. So now I really believe that it's not really important what I'm doing, but as long as the intention is right. So I know what my intention is, what my personal story is, and what the value is. And from there off, I can just start whatever I want.
Yeah. So I heard you say already that sort of the personal element to storytelling, that is something important. What do you think are there other important elements to a story of an entrepreneur? Or do you think this maybe personal element is the most important one, or maybe as well?
I think both. Yeah, I think it's like a combination of your personal story and your also your character also, but also like what your intention is here in the in the world.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I look into myself, I really believe in it's your personal story. So you're the only person that has a story like that. So it needs to be authentic, of course. I also really think that's important to be transparent. So to tell what you do and to do what you're saying also. And I also think that the intention is one of the most important things, because I believe that intention will bring you into places. Like if you have a right intention and a good intention, you will come into places where you can attract luck for a certain way.
Yeah.
So
that's a really nice view. Yeah. So for maybe some background for the people that are watching, you refer to the Golden Circle by Simon Sinek, which is then we also use it in our incubation program sometimes. So I believe it has like 3 levels, right?
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, okay, so why are there some leaders or entrepreneurs that are really more inspirational than others? It's because they are sort of always acting from the core of the circle, which is the why, right? And then you have 3 levels, I think.
The how. Yeah, and the how is like the values and the things, how you do the things you do, and so that can be like the strategy of your company,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the what, and that can be several things.
Yeah, it's very practical, like the activities that you do, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
in your case, the activities that you do, you're an entrepreneur, of course, you like to design new things, you're a speaker. And then what would you say concretely is the why for you? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, concretely, I think in my case is that I think that my mission here in this world is to like broaden the perspective of other people, but also my perspective.
Yeah.
So that is where like my core, my why, and my how. So the way that I'm doing what I'm doing is that I'm very open, I'm transparent, I'm authentic. So those are one of the three, or one of the elements of the strategies that I'm doing. And yeah, the what is like you already said, the companies that that I have, but also I like to write, to design, so to write a book, so it can be several things. So I really, and like the outside, the what is what people see from the outside, but I really believe that if you also speak or tell people what's on the inside, that they will have like a more band with you, like a better connection.
Sure. Okay, nice. Thank you. And how important do you think that this story, or in your case, reasoning kind of from the Golden Circle by Sinek, how important do you think it is to have a story as an entrepreneur? Do you think it's absolutely vital, or do you think it's you can do without, let's say?
Yeah, I really believe that nowadays it's becoming more and more important, because people are like, they are more curious, they are searching for everything. Like if you buy a product from somewhere, people would like to know, all right, who is the owner of this company, and how did he start it, so people are, they are more curious, and it's important to know also now, the information of the product, also of the entrepreneur. So if you can do without it, it's possible, of course. So, but I think that it helps if you have like a personal story and you share it with other people. So that they know why you're doing what you're doing.
What you're doing. Yeah. I see. And what have you learned from crafting your own story?
Yeah, I've learned that it's hard. It's like it's a whole journey. So it's not like all right, I don't know it at this moment, so I want to know it now, or next week or something. So it took me also a couple of years to know, like, all right, this is why you do what you're doing, and so it's a little bit hard, but it's also a nice journey, because if you once you've you know what your why is, and you know why you're here, then it becomes more easier to do everything. Because if you come somewhere, you just share your story, and people will recognize your story, and remember it also. So
I see. So it's also it's rewarding for you personally, but has it also been rewarding for business, let's say?
For business also. Okay, yes, nice. Yes, because like you said, I'm also a speaker, and because of my personal story and the things that I'm doing, they asked me to speak and to tell my story, because they other people also believe that if you share your story, there are other people that can like
be inspired.
By So so it's both. It's personally and business wise.
Nice. And do you have any role models or people that you look up to that you maybe also, well, maybe not used in the story, but that you took as inspiration for your own story?
Yes. I have people like Jandino Asporaat, but also people like Peter Zwart, Michel Muller from Picnic, and Peter Zwart from Coolblue. So those are like people that I'm really, they're role models for me.
And so, why then? Because you were mentioning Peter Zwart or Michel Muller, who are both very successful entrepreneurs. What is it in them that triggers you?
Because I also know their personal story, so that's one. And also the companies that that they've already set up, but also their intention. So I know now what their intention is, and that's why Now, for example, I order at Picnic. So when I order, I prefer to order at Coolblue something than at MediaMarkt, for example. And that's because I know their story, and I know where they come from and where they want to go. So that's why I'm like, all right, then I will choose for them.
Yeah, sure. That's nice to hear. And was it difficult to find out more about their intentions or their personal stories, or
no, it's like it's on the internet, and they also
Yeah.
have read books and so and those type of things. So it wasn't really really difficult.
Yeah. And one of your latest project was also actually to write a book. I will hold it up for the audience. When will it be in stores?
The 1st of September.
1st of September. It's called Ondernemen als een baas in Dutch, which it would translate something like entrepreneurship like a boss. So can you tell us a little bit more about how did you come up with the idea of writing a book, and how did you use your story in writing the book as well?
Yeah. So last year, no, 2 years ago, I won the RIT Aardig Onderweg Awards with iCapitein, with one of my companies. And because like if you win the RIT Aardig Onderweg Awards, you also have like a ticket for the TEDx talk.
Yeah.
So last year in March, I did a TEDx talk about three like how do you say that? 3 ways of how I approach my businesses. Like I have always 3 things that I do when I set up a business, and that is I like to tinker, and that is tinker is experimenting by using your own imagination. Hustling is very important, and that is how to make a living out of your tinkering. So if you have done something, you've experimented something, and you have like the idea of, all right, maybe I can earn some money with this or something, so you can make it like more like a business model, scalable also. And the last thing, what is also very important, is that I believe that if you want to keep growing, it's important also to give back. So it's circular thinking.
Yeah.
So I did a TED Talk last year, and there were a couple of people who said like, "Oh, the TED Talk was very nice, and that and that, and maybe you should write a book." At first, I was like, "No, writing a book is not something for me. I don't feel like I'm already there, so to write a book." But when I was telling the story, and people were like, "Oh, I'm feeling inspired," and those type of things, I thought about myself, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to write a book.
Yeah.
And then I made like a concept. I sent it to a publisher, Bruna, and they were like, "All right, maybe we can just
let's do it.
Do something together." Yeah. So in the book you will find the 3 ways. It's like tinkering, hustling, and circular thinking, and how you can use that to realize your dreams. And I've also had like 9 interviews with role models. So for example, Jandina Asperaat, but also Michiel Müller, and Colette Kloosterman from Jumbo. Soufiane Touzani, Ems from Broederliefde. So there are several role models in the book that I've interviewed also about how they tinkered, how they hustled, and how they do like the circular thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually like the 3 ways of doing business, tinkering, hustling, and circular thinking, what I find really nice is those are actually also part of your story, right? So on the one hand, you have the why part and the intention based a little bit on the Golden Circle by Sinek. But then on the other hand, you introduce this whole new sort of concept of thinking about doing business. So and especially the word tinkeraar or tinkering. I wouldn't even know how. I don't think it has a translation in English.
In English, it's tinkering.
It's tinkering.
Yeah,
it actually exists.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
funny.
tinkering.
Oh, that's so nice. So we actually should find a word for it in Dutch.
Yeah, it's in Dutch. It's tinkeren.
Yeah. Okay, but that exists.
Yeah, it exists. Yeah, but it's not like a common word.
No, right?
So not many people use it, but it exists.
Yeah. So I think definitely because of the book, probably you'll be able to inspire even more people. I think I read on your website that your mission is to inspire 25,000 people a year at the minimum, right? Yeah, I think it's really nice. So that's kind of seems like also using kind of a deliverable for yourself. Do you have more of these deliverables? Do you make use of them to really have like very concrete goals? Like, okay, this is my intention, and at the same time, I want to tinker, I want to hustle, I want to give back. How do you set goals for yourself in these three areas?
I set goals like if I have like a full year. In the beginning of the year, I'm always like, all right, how many people do I want to inspire? How many, for example, for the shoes, how many collections do I want to make? How many shoes do I want to sell? Um, so I make like several lists from things that I would like to achieve, and it's things that I need like to make money, like because it's not only give back, you also have to earn money.
Yeah, that would be great.
But it's my goal to have like a perfect balance in between giving back and earn money.
Nice. Did you ever maybe in the process of finding your own why am I doing everything that I do, did you ever change your story, or did you maybe have a different story in the beginning? And also, do you maybe tweak or adapt the story based on the audience or the customers for iKapitein or the customers of Diversité?
Yes, I like the core is always the same. So the core will be and will stay like broaden the perspective of other people, and depending on what type of business or what type of organization or something, I will just adapt a little bit of my story. But like in the core, the story will stay the same. It will not change. But in the beginning, it was difficult to find like, all right, but what's the really core? Because I was just keep asking myself like, all right, why I'm doing this? All right, now why I'm doing this? And after asking several times of why, you still, you go deeper into what your mission is and what your intention is, and then when you find it, then it would stay the same.
Yeah.
But maybe it can change within now in 5 years. I don't know.
Yeah. That was actually going to be my next question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it? Do you have the feeling that this is it indeed, or maybe at some point, that also depends maybe where you want to be in 5 years? Is that something that you've given some thought?
No, I find it very difficult to speak about where I'm, because if you ask me 5 years ago this question, I will say like 5 years ago, I was already an entrepreneur, but I don't have like the mission to start several businesses or something. And 10 years ago, I wanted to be like a detective at the police, and now I'm entrepreneur. So I really didn't, it's very difficult to say, all right, I want to be there. So as long as I'm adding value to the world and doing the things that I'm liking, that I like to do, and I'm constantly growing also, then I'm happy. Yeah.
Nice. And have you ever, using a very personal and also really sort of like your core story of you as a person in, all of the activities that you do as an entrepreneur, I was wondering if you've ever had any very strong criticism or like a conflictual reaction to them, maybe?
Criticism, I think there will always be criticism. So some people maybe think like, giving back is a nice story, but I don't know if he really does that, those type of things. But I really don't focus on those type of things.
Yeah.
So I am aware that there will always be criticism, but as long as I'm doing the things that I'm doing with the right intention, and I'm always be transparent, then I don't know what can go wrong or something.
Yeah, I see. And so do you have any lessons about something that did not work at all, for example, related to your story? Or do you think that as long as you try to, reach that core and find out why you do what you do, there's no right or wrong?
Yeah, I think that there are always things that go wrong. So it's not like if you have the right personal story, there are not things that are not going wrong.
Yeah.
So there are always things that go wrong. But I feel like comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So I know that things can go wrong, and because of that, I will always change like my mindset and put my mind on it. Um, so no, I think at this moment I cannot just come with something like an example of
Yeah, no,
how it didn't
that's
work.
okay. I
Yeah.
was just reading about yeah, research that we also talk about in our programs is that we say that research shows that companies that pivot more often, that they also increase their chances of success. And then I thought, okay, if you have a pivot in your
Yeah.
startup, that also sometimes means that there's a change in story. Um,
Also
but I
think so.
guess if you keep sort of your personal story at the core of everything, that might not necessarily be the case.
Yeah.
And then I was,
But I also think that like the journey is constantly. So you have to adjust. You have to like now there's like the coronavirus and this type of thing.
yeah,
So also maybe you have to change your company values a little bit to
yeah, to
to stay
adapt or
alive and
to,
to
yeah,
adapt. Yeah, it's important. I
that
think.
makes sense. Yeah, and you also refer on your website to the new economy.
Mm-hmm.
And skills that people need, according to you, to succeed in the new economy.
Yeah.
So can you maybe explain where this idea came from? What is the new economy to you?
Yeah, the new economy is for me. It's like also a little bit the economy where we are living at this moment. So I think that technology is taking over a lot of things. It started a long way ago, but I think that's going to be more and more. So I really think that we need to focus on developing like skill set that are not replaceable by technology. So I think that we need to focus on things that makes us human. So that's um, our imagination, our ambition, our things about working together, and our love also for each other, but also for for the planet, um, and synergy, those type of things. So I really think that we're going like in a way of that those type of things are getting more and more important.
Yeah,
Um,
and so part of your mission of your why maybe is also to, besides inspiring people, to also maybe prepare them or like
yes,
contribute to
yes.
that they're ready for this new economy.
Yes, because those are all things that all people have in them,
Yeah.
but it's important to develop them also because, and you have to know also about how important they are.
Yeah.
So you can use them for your, for your benefits.
Nice. So, do you have any final recommendation for your fellow startup entrepreneurs? What learnings can you share from your experience with crafting a story?
What learnings? I think that's important that if you go after your intention, and if you know what your intentions are, from there off you can, yeah. Also, no, yeah. I think your intention, but also I think that it's important. Like if you keep tinkering, so keep experimenting. Don't stop experimenting. So to check what you think that is, what you like and this type of thing. But also, if you want to start a company, just start with it and experiment. Like if it's the right way that you want to do, yes or no, because you can only improve things if you start. So if you experiment, because else there's nothing to improve.
Yeah.
So I really think that it's important to keep experimenting, also with the mindset of a hustler.
Yeah.
So you have to, yeah, you have to feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations because there are gonna be how do you say this?
Those kinds of situations.
Yeah, those
right?
type of situations are going
Happen.
to happen. So and as the last thing you have to start thinking also in a circular way. So I think
give
those
back.
to give back, yeah.
Yeah. I
Those
think since we were talking about this, I guess it makes sense that you would give these as recommendations. But what I really like is that, you can really tell by speaking to you that these are basically the sort of pillars that you base all your actions on. And as long as you know why you're doing something, you can always relate back to and everything that you do. And like you said, experiment and maybe whenever you do something of which you think, okay, this does actually not really fit with why I'm doing what I'm doing, then you can also say, okay, then I'll
Yeah,
leave it.
yeah, true, yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much, Wesley.
Yeah.
And
No,
more
thanks.
of Wesley's advice about tinkering, hustling, and circular thinking, you can find in his book, which will be launched 1st of September.
Yes, so first it
Thank you
will be only
all.
in Dutch, but maybe
In English,
in
an
English
English
also.
translation
Yeah.
too. Awesome. Thank you, Wesley.
All right, thank you.